Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Jane Lindsay and I run Snapdragon Life. And on this channel, I talk about creativity, about textile art, about the beauty of Scotland, about creating a natural dye garden, and quite a bit about life, about living with an autoimmune condition, and generally trying to make a happy, thriving life. And today is one of those life episodes. And as this is my birthday weekend, on Sunday I am going to be 55, I thought that I would talk about aging. But first, people always ask me, they get in touch and they ask me about my mugs. I love handmade mugs. So this one here, which you can see has this beautiful bird, and then on the back it says Seeds of Hope. This is made by Makiko Hastings, who is a potter in the north of England, and I shall link her underneath here. It's a really lovely mug. So today I wanted to talk about something that a friend kind of sparked in me. Earlier in the year, I had a university friend come to stay for a few days. And in that way that you often do with university friends, we were sitting around talking a lot. And one of the things that came up was this idea that when you get to your 50s, you become invisible. And I was saying that it hadn't really been something that I had found, because that male gaze, which is the bit that's meant to get switched off as you age, I had never really liked that. I'm not somebody who likes being wolf whistled at or whatever. And actually, if anything, now I feel more listened to, because it is possible to have discussions with men where they look at your face and they don't look at your chest, which does make me feel more seen. So we're talking about this. And my friend said that actually she didn't think that when women complained about being invisible, that they really did mean a societal invisibility. And she wondered whether instead it was being invisible to yourself. And I thought about this, and I thought that actually could well be it, because being visible to yourself is actually quite tricky if you're in the middle of changing roles and life circumstances. And there's an awful lot of that goes on in your 40s and 50s. And I think that because women often take their definition from their role, maybe very susceptible to this. So if you're a mother, your 40s and 50s are typically when your children are becoming more independent. They may be leaving home, going off to college, university, first job, traveling. And there is, that mix of fear, loneliness, but knowing that it's exciting and that your job is really to send them off equipped for the world. If you have parents, then they're becoming possibly less independent and needing more time, needing more care. And there's that renegotiation of a parental-child relationship there, and that's quite tricky. And then there's jobs, maybe there's a lot of people I know who change their job or want to change their job or leave the job, whatever. And that whole kind of what do you do thing becomes quite difficult. So, yes, I thought that my friend had a really good point. And she's somebody who, all the time that I have known her, she has followed her heart in what she wants to do rather than follow society's norms. So she's been an environmental activist all of her life. She's been active in local politics. She is a really formidable woman. And yet, here she was saying that a lot of the time, she no longer knew who she was. And it reminded me, in some ways, of a book event that I went to in my mid-20s with the American writer Naomi Wolf. Now, I don't think it was for her book, The Beauty Myth. I think it was probably for the next one, but she can't have been that well known in Scotland because there was only about 15 of us turned up to this book event. So instead of doing a talk, she decided to run it as a kind of a workshop circle. And she went round us all with questions and sort of would then, they'd spark anecdotes and discussions of the book. And one of the questions that she posed to everybody was, what did you want to do when you were 7 or 8 before you were taken in by society and society's expectations and society's norms? And she went right round everybody. And when she came to me, I knew exactly what it was that I'd wanted to do when I was 7. And so viscerally that I could feel myself back there. I could feel myself back sitting on a wooden swing that hung from a cherry tree right at the bottom of our family garden. And my main activity, age 7, 8, was sitting on this swing and running my own TV program. I talked to people about life, and I told them about birds, and I showed them how to make things, all while sitting on this swing. Look what I'm doing now. But at that time, 7 or 8, this kind of being able to do it yourself, to just go for it, wouldn't have been possible, I was talking about television and, gatekeepers, and I don't know, there was probably just Blue Peter and Why Don't You on television that would have fulfilled my aims. And very, very quickly, all of those kind of ideas went. And, I became the very conventionally academic good girl, right the way through school, right the way through university, the way through jobs. And it was only when I was 49, when a whole load of things seemed to change in the way that I saw the world, that I thought, the technology is there to now do this, to just set up a camera and talk. So I think this is maybe the thing, that if you are feeling a bit invisible and you don't really know quite where it is that you fit in, maybe it is going and sitting somewhere quietly and trying to conjure up that 7-year-old or that 8-year-old and think, what was it that they were passionate about, before the kind of expectations of what was possible started to impinge on their lives. What did they love? You know, was it writing or nature or sports? Was it they wanted to fly? You know, they wanted to be a wonderful chef. They want to be an artist or a musician. Go back, and I'm not saying change your life and make that like the center of your life necessarily, though if you want to do that, go and do that. But see what bits of that you can bring in to your own life. You know, wanted to be a writer, then just start writing. Find something small that you can write. Start a blog, start a Substack. Just buy a book and a pencil and just start. Wanted to be a musician, it is not too late to learn. Find out who's doing music tuition, or look up other YouTube channels here and just start. Because I think my friend is right. It's not that we're invisible in society. As middle-aged women, I think we are incredibly strong in society, and we have very distinct, very strong voices that we need to make heard. But maybe the problem is that we have become invisible to ourselves, and it is time to go and find ourselves. Let me know in the comments what it is that you absolutely loved doing when you were 7 or 8, and whether you still do it, and if not, how you are going to bring that back into your life. And I shall see you next week. And until then, have a wonderful time. I'm going to, I think, take my camera. It might be a very short video next week, because I'm actually travelling down to London. But on my birthday, I am going to a wonderful garden called Broadwood Side Garden, which is open as part of sort of like a Gardens Open scheme on Sunday. So I'm going to take my camera, I'm going to take some shots. So even if it's a very short video next week, it will be a garden video. So until then, and I hope you enjoyed this, and bye-bye.